I'm Bill Sanders, and this is WatchArtSci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I'd like to do is to go through the process with, I'm hoping, with viewers' help on getting a new watch. And the new watch I want is that I need something that has GMT or world time for lots of reasons. But let's get going on it. Start off, the first thing is the criteria. It's got to have a number of things for it to what I want. First of all, it's got to have 2 time zones. That's pretty obvious. Also, it's got to be mechanical. I mean, either automatic or wind up. Either one will be fine. It's got to be easy to read. I want to be able to look at it and not some creative artist abstraction on there. The price has got to be right in the about $7K neighborhood, about $7,000. That's the neighborhood. And it's got to have an in-house movement. Okay, now what I would prefer, now these are nice to have. I'd like to have a bidirectional bezel. I'd like to have a dial that's white, blue, or green. Because I got a lot with a black dial. My Vacheron Constantin overseas and my Harboring Felix, they both have black dials on it. So I got a lot of black dials. I want a metal bracelet. I want to have a brand I don't have. I'm a collector. I don't want to have all of the same brands. Some people do, and that's fine. I don't. I want to have something I don't have. And this is how come I'm hoping that some of you will help me out. The other thing is that right now is a good time to get something brand new that's known as condition 0 or unworn. That's something I'd like to have. Deal breakers. I don't want a cheap third-party movement. I don't want an unattractive face. Now, unattractive is what I think is unattractive. Some people may like it, others may not like it. If I don't like it, I don't want it. I don't care how good it is. Okay, and again, let me reiterate, I don't want something that's difficult to read. Now, my information resources, for the most part, I'm going to be looking at 2 main things. First, to get the movement. Watchbase.com is a good one for getting a movement, and the Watch Enthusiast. Both of those are both online. And you can get the movement and the movement base, so I like that. Use Chrono 24 pretty much to get an idea of the pricing of these of the different ones. The reviews, I'll look at as many online watch publication reviews as possible, and I just want every one. When I start narrowing down, I'll look at several. The advice from viewers is going to be important. Now, I don't want to make it as my brand is better than your brand, not mine, but some other group of people. So please, 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 let's just look at it and say, well, I have one of these, and this is why it's good, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or it's not so good, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Finally, there's something that always gets in the way of my watch purchasing, and that's called an irrational love of watches. And sometimes if I see a watch and I have my credit card with me or something, I'll buy it. I don't want to do that. I'm hoping other watch collectors understand that. We're going to try to get away from that. Okay, so let's take a look at the first batch here. We have a Tudor Aeronaut GMT. There's a Tag Heuer Link World Time, a Bremont Terra Nova. Bremont's an English company. And they have a beautiful GMT called the Terra Nova. Even with a black dial, I like it a lot. The Breitling Avenger 2 and IWC Portuguese World Timer. Every one of them I like a lot, with the exception of the Tudor, and the Tudor has too many crowns. I prefer a single crown, so the Tudor is on sort of the short end here. Problem is, with every single one of them, they all have cheap movements in them. And that's a deal breaker, so all of them are out. And by the way, too, every one of these companies does make their own movements for other models. So if they happen to come out with a model with a in-house movement, GMT, let me know. I'd be interested. Okay, so let's take a look at this next group. I sort of refer to it as the sports group because they're sort of classic-looking sports watches. The Rolex GMT Master 2 I like a lot. It's got the nice, fat, readable time markers on it. It's got a rotating bezel. It's in what's called, I guess, the blue and black for the Batman colors. It's got the steel bracelet. I prefer something other than the black dial, but maybe they have them, maybe not, I don't know. The other one that I really like is the Omega Seamaster GMT, and it's got a blue dial, which is one of the things I wanted. It does have more than a single crown. There's a second crown at about 10 o'clock, and I'm not sure what that's for, but it's something that I want to look into. It's a nice looking watch, steel bracelet. Now, another Rolex that I found that I very much like is called the Rolex Explorer 2, and I like that a lot. It's got a white face on it that is for the dial color. It's what I wanted. I think that the rotating bezel, I'm not positive. Easy to read, nice and very clear watch. This next one is a Breguet Type 21 GMT. I'm afraid that it's got a black dial, which I'm not crazy about, but then it's got 3 other sub-dials on it, and it gets very messy that way. And plus it's got 3 crowns. I prefer 1. That's probably out of the mix, but the other 3 in it are very much in contention. Okay, this next group is sort of a more formal group, and it has 2 watches on here that I like a lot, and they're both the Girard-Perregaux Traveler 2, which I like a lot, and the Girard-Perregaux Dual Time. These are different types of GMT watches, and they're especially the Traveler 2. So that's another consideration. The Panerai 1950 Luminor GMT is another one. It does have a black dial, but it's got a lot of illumination on it, so you can see it in the dark, which is nice. Not crazy about the crown guard on the Panerai series, but you know, it's probably something I could become used to, and I know they have them without the crown guard, so that's something else. A watch that I want to like a lot is the Zenith Dual Time. Zenith is one of those watch companies I think that gets overlooked a lot. I'm just not terribly attracted to this particular one. Sorry, Zenith. I'll get you one of these days. They have a Zenith Pilot that's pretty cool. Okay, the Nomos Tangomat GMT. This is a Bauhaus watch. It's minimalist. But it's interesting. It has, at 9 o'clock, it has the city, and then it has the small seconds. It's got two crowns on it, or maybe a button and a crown. But it's a pretty clean watch. Probably not in the running, and certainly not in competition with with the 2 Girard-Perregaux. But you never know. Maybe I'll find out more about it. Okay. This next group of watches is sort of an exception. The Jacques-Hydro Grand Duel and the Jacques-Hydro Tournai GMT both grab my interest. So Tournai, because I don't have a Tournai. The Grand Duel Time, just like the looks of it. It's a honey of a watch. Problem with both of these watches is that they have a third-party movement, but it's Frederic Piguet, which is the Holy Trinity of Uso, so it's probably pretty good. Harboring 2 has a world timer. I heard recently they're probably not going to be making this anymore because they're going to be updating it with an in-house movement. It's jumping seconds. I don't have a jumping seconds. That makes it interesting to me. Okay. Finally, got a couple of watches here that are sort of described as outliers. One is the A. Lang, which is their GMT, or their dual time. I love A. Langs. They are really very well made. They're excellent watches. The other is Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Dual, and you open it up and it's got another watch on the inside, and so you can flip it over and have watches with different times on either side. Like the watch, and this is a big one for guys, one of the problems, my wife has a Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso, so I wanted to get something a little different. Problem with A-line is that they cost too much. It's really expensive, but what the heck, you never know what's going to happen. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to give me advice. Say, hey, look, this is what I'd get. But I like to have good reasoning behind it. In other words, saying this is a good watch because, and A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Let me know, because I do appreciate your help. Maybe there's one that I haven't even seen yet, one I didn't look at that I should look at and say, hey, you really ought to take a look at this one. Now remember, I do have that 7K cap on it, so don't say, oh, hey, I got this wonderful Patek Philippe, you'd love it. And they're right, I would, but I can't afford it. Okay, if you got some watches, take some pictures, send them in, and I'll make a video review for you. And if you like the idea, by the way, too, this is one of the things I want to do with our group, our little band of brothers, is that I don't want to discourage anyone from saying, oh, hey, subscribing, but I don't want it to get out of hand. I mean, we've got enough people right now that I can answer everybody's comments. I can say something about them, and I like doing that. And I like interaction with this audience. So here we have something. You're going to help me find the GMT. By the way, here's my time line on it. I have 8 weeks, and here's why. I negotiated for a watch, and it's going to take up to 8 weeks for them to get it for me. Okay, so there's the second watch I want to get is the GMT. And so I have some time. I have some time to explore. I have time to do research. And I'm hoping that you like this kind of interaction kind of thing rather than being totally passive about this. If you do, by the way, if you like the idea, hit the like on it. I generally don't ask people to hit the like button. But in this case, use it as a voting thing. If you like it, just hit like, and then I'll take the number of views, and then I'll compare it with the number of likes. And if they're close, then I'll figure, hey, maybe people like to do this. Okay. Till next Friday, this is Bill Sanders and WatchArtSci. See you next week.